I will say they are looking extremely solid. And I do love to see an underdog story, with the young team coming in to get the win. But
warm weather environment, warm weather area. They come up to a place that gets really, really cold, and they just grind to a halt. They're not used to it.
But I was missing all that time.
That's a big play on top of the
Kick it out to Bryant. Pass it over to Cox for three. Got it!
For by the help of transportation to knock on windows.
good morning, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of HGTV Sports in the Cave. I'm HG.
And I'm Caveman. Welcome in, everybody. Got good news. Is that HG got the win on our team building exercise last week. His team was ahead in votes. So now it's all tied up 1-1.
1-1 on the season right now.
And we had a pretty more chill weekend with football. We had the bye week in between the Super Bowl from the divisional round or the divisional championships. But it was a lot of funny stuff happened too. We had Kyle Shanahan was pretty drunk at media night. They might be regretting having that Super Bowl in Las Vegas because they are out partying last weekend.
For a long time, the league and the city of Las Vegas, they were at odds. And I mean, the NFL wanted nothing to do with Vegas, didn't want players and coaches going there. But, they got into the sport. The NFL wanted to partner up with sports betting, and so they had to come around with Vegas. But
yeah,
players are definitely there's gonna be some partying done if you're in Vegas.
It was pretty funny, honestly, because he was answering the questions pretty coherently still, but you could just see it, kind of hear it in his voice. He was a little bit drunk.
Yeah, his eyelids a little droopy. It wasn't bad, but it's a very slight slurring of the words. That might not even be the craziest thing that happened at the media day. Somebody asked Brock Purdy about, because there's this thing going around online that he kind of looks like Lee Harvey Oswald, and so somebody asked Brock Purdy what he thought of that, and
that was one of the actual questions at the media day. It wasn't just a random dude. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was an actual reporter asking that, and I was just like, what are you expecting to get out of this man? How is Brock supposed to answer that?
Yeah, actually. What's he supposed to say? He did it? I don't know. And we also had our Pro Bowl. Credit to Brock, though.
Yeah, he kept his composure and was just didn't overreact or anything. Was like, I don't know what you.
George Kittle
to say to that.
George Kittle put on a show as well. He was pretty funny. He was playing rock, paper, scissors with a fan that was in the crowd from 30 feet away, 30 yards away, playing rock, paper, scissors. I didn't know he was a Bears fan. I didn't know he's from Chicago, but somebody there begged him not to ever get traded or go to the Bears ever in his career. That was one of the questions he got. As if he would stay there forever and never go to Chicago. It's funny Kittle. Stuff there.
He really is America's tight end. That guy, what a hoot.
He's hilarious. Good for the league though.
Yes.
Makes tight ends look good after that whole lot of stuff going on with tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
We also had the Pro Bowl. And our question of the day really is, has the Pro Bowl fallen off in recent years compared to what we've seen in the past?
Yeah. So
it's a joke.
Yeah, we're going to start talking about this, but we encourage people to call in, text in your thoughts on the Pro Bowl, because I don't know, personally.
Awesome.
Personally, I think it's actually
Yeah.
I didn't even watch any of it. I watched some highlights or stuff because that was about as much of it as I could actually focus on.
Yeah, it wasn't really too special, really. The flag football thing was cool. But all the other, I feel like the skills challenges, only the NFC was actually like putting some effort into it.
Yeah.
They've pretty much straight clean sweep and like won everything. I don't I don't know. This felt very one-sided. Like only one team was kind of competing for it.
Well, I saw the previews where Ray Lewis was one of the coaches and
He was
was coming out and blah, 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 you know. Evidently, he doesn't have a child that he can coach their little league team, because you could definitely tell that he was personality A that Saturday.
yeah, he was the AFC's defensive coordinator. I do like that they
He's
have
upset
Eli
about
and
blitzing.
Peyton
That was
coach
hilarious.
the respective conferences. Like Peyton's just ultra competitive because he's like on the side. You can always hear him yelling at the refs during these when I was watching the highlights, which that's kind of funny. It's like Peyton does have like a kids, and he does coach their teams, and he just wants to be this brother. So
Yeah.
that's the most fun element of it. But
RG3 was a pretty good host too. He's
Yeah.
always pretty funny.
RG3 is funny, but it's just hard to want to tune into that for super long. To me, the Pro Bowl it's starting to feel more like a glorified game show.
Which
With
I guess is cool for the players if they enjoy that, and that's cool because it's like a really, really nice way to just hang out with the fans and kind of rehab a little bit and compete and have fun before your off season. Because a lot of these dudes have like a lot of pressure on them. So just being able to go out and perform and just have fun instead of always trying to win everything, then it kind of clears their head a little bit before going into the off season. You don't really know if you're going to be on the same team next year, if you're going to be on a team next year. So
The Pro Bowl used to really be fun. Like
it was
the
it was
funnest
awesome.
the funnest thing to watch during the Pro Bowl was like everybody had their team helmets. So it was kind of cool seeing all these, different players and stuff. And now that they've changed it to flag football, I mean, unless you're a quarterback or a wide receiver,
Yeah, flag football is not really that fun unless
and
you're
and
getting the ball.
I don't know who a lot of those
Yeah.
players are, especially the ones that are up front and stuff.
Yeah, well, like flag football, it just completely negates offensive linemen. So it's like
Yeah, you get one. You
Yeah,
get one guy to snap it.
I mean, you have all these Pro Bowl or offensive linemen; they don't even get to play in the game because it's flag. And
trade off
I
every down.
feel like in recent years, it's just like they be having the weirdest like substitutions for like like guys that made the Pro Bowl but they're going to the Super Bowl. Like they have like the weirdest subs, like Tyler Huntley, like last year. That was just strange. I'm like, I was about to say Tyler Huntley didn't play well, but I'm like, to put him on the Pro Bowl roster
Yeah, it's
over some other guys. And like this year, like, no disrespect to Gardner Minshew. I personally love Gardner Minshew. He's one of the funniest players in the league. And you always want to root for that guy.
You can't tell
But it
me
was just he was a weird substitute for Patrick Mahomes.
you can't tell me that the NFL is making money on the new Pro Bowl style compared to the last Pro Bowl style.
they're selling more tickets because it was like felt like it was way longer, like the entire day.
Mhm.
So that's why I like the NBA All-Star Weekend, which we're going to talk about that later on today. I like that one a lot better because it's an entire weekend. They probably
Yeah.
make more money than the NFL on their All-Star stuff.
Well, I feel like Pro Bowl viewership's going down in terms of TV. I was looking at some graphs and stats on that, and apparently this was the lowest viewed Pro Bowl since like
Jeez.
2009, something like that. And I don't know, the past 2 years, like the Pro Bowl average viewership's around 6 million, which I mean still is a lot of people, but for the NFL,
That's not a
Those
lot
are-
of people for the NFL.
those are small numbers.
Well,
The highest they've had since 2000, it was like 14 million, and that peaked like kind of the mid 2010s. There was like several years back to back to back where it was like 13 and a half, 13, 14 million people watching the Pro Bowl. And I don't. They just need to try to get back to that.
Do you by chance know the numbers offhand with that whole NFL debacle with Peacock? You know, everything's streaming to Peacock on that Saturday or whatever. Did you by chance get?
I hadn't seen any numbers on
I
that,
wonder.
actually.
I wonder if that's.
I feel like it was pretty high viewership though.
You
because
think?
Yeah.
I think it was very strategic of them to put the Chiefs' first playoff game like as the first Peacock exclusive in the playoffs, just with trying to get all this new wave of fans to purchase that. So I imagine the viewership was pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do have a few clips of some highlights from the Pro Bowl, and also the old quarterback throwing challenge where they used to see how far they could throw the ball. So go ahead and play that first one.
Those three is going to come through with a good throw to win it.
That doesn't look too shabby.
That looks pretty good to me.
Looks like 73, Cordell Stewart.
He had a hard time getting that first ball in the grid to make it count so he can let the second one go. This year, he finally gets it in play. Harbaugh worries about this competition, the long-distance throw. He gets everything into it. Beautiful
looking ball, yeah.
Jim's excited.
That's good for me.
Yeah.
That's good for me.
It doesn't excite anybody else. The way he approaches it, he plays like that, loose.
He's looking for at least 74 yards to grab the lead, and that one looks good.
Got a lot of spin on it. And it is long.
He may have his 74.
74 yards by Brett Favre. Well, that was good technique that time by him. He got his body into it, did a good job of playing at the line of scrimmage. And
y'all got me. All you need is 1 yard.
So
hard to make up 5.
So we got to break the tie, right?
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh in the
making the Pro
league.
Bowl.
Brett Favre out there. And our next clip, just some of the best Pro Bowl highlights, I think, from 2000 to 2010.
3rd and goal. And Wilson throwing and reaching up and making the catch is Vincent Jackson for the touchdown. And on 1st and 10 now you got a flea flicker. And Luck is going to go deep into the end zone, and it will be taken there by Deshaun Jackson of the Philadelphia Eagles for the touchdown.
Deshaun Jackson just went up and stole it from him.
Team Rice. What a trickery here, which results in Josh Gordon taking the handoff and getting upended. You got a teammate on teammate. Ward from Cleveland, Gordon from Cleveland.
Already, this is the best Pro Bowl we've seen in years.
First down goal from the 8-yard line. Brees throws it high in the air, and it is taken in by Jimmy Graham for the touchdown.
Get that one-on-one matchup, and you can forget about it.
Rivers takes over. Rivers coming off a great season, but he is under pressure. He loses the ball. He's hit by J.J. Watt, and running is Dontari Poe, who will get tackled from behind. These defensive lines have come to wreak havoc today.
And he's off and running. Nobody's going to catch him. Usually they catch nose tackles.
No question. 3rd down and 10. And Smith is going to get wrapped up and sacked. And that's J.J. Watt.
That's one of those big waves. Jump up there. Jump up there. There you go. Right it in.
Beautiful. Foles off his back foot, and it is hauled in the end zone by Jordan Cameron for a touchdown. Will it go there again? Smith instead dumps it off underneath. DeMarco Murray inside the 10, and Murray will take it to the end zone. So it's 21-20, and how do you go for the win here?
Colvin's going to be the lead blocker. Oh, gets the ball.
And he gets the ball, and he is in there. Mike Tolbert has just given Rice's team the lead.
Second quarter begins with Team Carter getting the ball. This team. Luck to throw. What a catch by his teammate T.Y. TD. 3rd and 10 for the Lions quarterback Stafford. Matthew hit as he throws downfield, and it's pulled in by who else? Odell Beckham Jr. So Stafford's used to throw it to guys who make sick catches. Breeze throwing for the tight end. So Olsen gets his 2nd touchdown. Team Carter extends his lead. This is 3rd and 4, and Breeze throwing end zone. Hilton had it picked by Grimes. He took it from him. Grimes took it away. Oh.
Teams, I remember that. That was
Jerry Rice drafted a team and Barry Sanders drafted another. I do forget that. That was 2014 and 15 highlights.
I think that was kind of the peak of the Pro Bowl.
That was awesome though.
I mean,
Seeing
because
Drew
they
Brees.
were like each team was playing to win a cash prize, but I think it was going to like a charity of the team's choice too, or maybe it was for the
okay.
players. But like, yeah, there was there was
Yeah.
like big money at stake, and I mean, you saw like it was competitive. I mean,
Yeah, Don Terry Poe almost returned that strip sack back down.
I mean, when's the last time you seen a Pro Bowl where the score was like 22-21? Like that's like
Back and forth game, like going down to the wire.
they're actually playing defense in that one, you know? Like
Saw
We-
that guy
we
from
missed
the
that,
Browns get flipped over by his teammate Denzel Ward.
right? It's full speed, full contact.
They're
man.
playing. That's what I guess that's maybe what kind of the NFL is kind of missing out in their league now is like that full speed that we all kind of miss it. I know everyone knows what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. We all miss how it was back in the 2010s up to 2020. It was probably the peak of the NFL in my opinion. Like that decade was just amazing
Yeah,
football.
It was good.
Maybe not if your team didn't do so hot. The Saints had a few years, even with Drew Brees, where we kind of sucked. So
I'd say like 2009 to 2015, and then after that, NFL stopped being good.
I'd stand by that too. I think that's a pretty valid point, honestly.
Once the Broncos got bad again, it was bad for the league. It really was.
What do we have next this morning? Oh, actually, before we move on though from the Pro Bowl, Jason Kelsey was absolutely hilarious. He's got to do something with like WWE or something because the energy that he brings is like hilarious. He's like Ultimate Warrior in the ring, shaking the ropes around. That's how hype he gets during this. Like in the Pro Bowl, they're pushing the sled and he's on it. And he's like pushing his guys as hard as he can go. Like that was the most energy we saw, and they were just pushing a sled.
Dude, he reminds me of Hillbilly Jim. If you remember that. We're at Hillbilly Jim, and then like his attitude is kind of like a Dudley boy.
He's the nicest dude in the world,
Yeah.
too. Jason Kelsey, he must be protected at all costs. And I don't even like the Eagles.
And I tell you what, not to like put a dampen on it, we lost an icon this week, or this weekend, I should say. I'm not a country person. I don't like country music, but I will say that Toby Keith passed away at 62 because of cancer. And the only reason why I bring this up, and I don't mean to cut you guys off or interrupt, the only reason why I bring this up is because Toby Keith, he did a lot for veterans, especially coming back from Iraq. I remember when I was in Iraq, we went to Spiker. It was right after Brock had died. It was kind of like a treat for me or whatever, because at that time I did like country. And I remember Toby Keith coming out and he was singing, and then we got hit with a mortar. And then they're wanting to cancel the concert, and Toby Keith comes out and he's like, no, we got this. If you guys can do it, then I can do it. And then he continued the concert, and that was a most memorable moment And I've been to a couple of his concerts, been to his restaurant. Have you ever been to Toby Keith's restaurant?
I haven't. I didn't know he had a restaurant.
He does. He has a restaurant. There's one in Oklahoma, of course. We used to have one here in Denver, but they closed it down.
I'll have to look that up.
So, but I just wanted to give a tribute, to Toby Keith for everybody that's listening. So
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt y'all.
Noble move there. Rest in peace, Toby Keith. We're sending our thoughts out from MBR since you sent your thoughts out, and helping out veterans as well. So shout out to him.
Absolutely. Well, I guess our next thing up here on the list, there's going to be an NFL game in Brazil.
Yes.
Next season.
That's going to be cool.
I'm
the
excited.
Fans in London are awesome. And I think there's also going to be a game. I think Carolina plays in Germany.
They do, yep.
This upcoming season too.
I mean, that NFL is getting bigger and bigger internationally. First, it was just London. Now we've had Germany the past 2 years.
They had Mexico a couple years ago.
Couple of games in
So
Mexico
my question to you is, HG, where do you see this going? Do you see this going as kind of like an elective, kind of like Hard Knocks kind of an elective? Or do you see them creating an NFL team that is housed over the European? Because then,
if they did that, would be awesome.
Then it would be considered really world champions.
Yeah, it would be.
I don't think we'll see, if they were to expand, I don't think you'd have an NFL team in Europe because of the time zone differences. That would be difficult. If they were going to go for an international team, I think the most likely place is in Canada. Maybe we could see something in Central or South America, but
yeah, I think
a Canadian team is more likely. It's
true.
Much wealthier country. They probably have the GDP to make something work there. But at the very least, I see there being a lot more international games that teams can elect to play in. This upcoming game here in Brazil, it's going to be on Friday night, September 6th. The Eagles have already been listed as the home team. It's in Sao Paulo, Brazil, at Corinthians Arena. And Brazil just barely beat out Spain to have an international game this year. But they're saying that, we could have a game in Madrid.
That's sick.
Again, as early as 2025. So I can see it. I see, like we're getting a lot more, some more European countries picking up games. I mean, how long until we have a game in France, maybe, or Ireland?
That's what I hope they do. The overseas fans show so much support, like traveling cross country to go to other countries to watch like soccer or anything really. Like the fans in London during like the first few games were awesome. Like the chants. It just reminds me of like watching WWE.
Well, and you remember the games in Germany, Frankfurt, those crowds were getting hyped. They had all sorts of chants were going. I remember the entire stadium, that first game between the Seahawks and Buccaneers, the whole Sweet Caroline, like the entire stadium.
Yeah, in the middle of a drive too, which is perfect for football.
On with it. So
I feel like people don't ever.
I mean, these crowds in Brazil, I think, are going to be just as exciting, be just as hyped. I got a list of all the potential opponents the Eagles could play, and so I want to hear from you, Caveman, and from our viewers who they'd like to see in that game in Brazil. But I'll go ahead and list them all off for us real quick. So these are all the home games or all the opponents the Eagles have at home next season. So obviously, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants, they got division rivals. They got to play all three of them at home once and on the road. But then they also have the Falcons, the Panthers, the Packers, the Browns, Jaguars, and Steelers. The Panthers, they, like we said, they do play in Germany, so might be less likely to see them. And then the Jags have their usual London game, so I'm not sure if they do send the Jags to 2 different international games, but I mean, the NFL kind of hates the Jaguars and just I think they made them play 2 London games last year.
I think so, actually.
But I don't. The Jacksonville's basically an honorary team of London too, so it's.
I think probably the best game out of the ones we listed, probably Dallas, just because you got the rivalry. Those teams will probably have a pretty good game. High chance of it being a good game with those two.
Past few years, especially, it's always been a good game when those 2 teams got together.
Atlanta probably be a good mix in there because the new coach with Raheem Morris, and that team is just super young and like pretty star-studded roster. But I think that would be a pretty good game.
I think the Packers, that's probably the one I want to see the most. Jordan Love,
another young team there that is gonna make huge moves. I think the NFC North next season is gonna be a one division to watch out in that conference. They've got some pretty decent teams, and Justin Fields starting to find himself out there. So
yeah,
that might be pretty scary.
And then, follow-up question for you, Caveman, and for our viewers. Where would you guys like to see another international game from the NFL?
Got to be Ireland, hands down. Ireland or even Australia. Australia or Ireland. They're just the funniest people in the entire world. And that is going to make for the greatest crowd. Like in football, I think that will be the best crowd in NFL history if they do that.
Have you guys ever been to Australia?
I
have not. It's on the list though.
I've never actually left the country.
Like, out of all the countries I've ever visited, I love Australia. I was going the wrong way in a parking lot, and instead of them flipping off, they're like, "Hey, excuse me," and like it's very nice, like knocking on, "Hey, you're going the wrong way," dude. They totally, they're hilarious.
That sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah, those are up there for me as well. This one, bit of a dark horse. I don't think a lot of people expect, but I think I think would be really cool. Japan.
That would be
simply
awesome.
Because just how technologically advanced they are. Like I just could imagine all the cool things Japan could do.
Honestly, yeah.
And it's a great destination for football fans. They're for an island nation, man, there's just so much to do in Japan. Cool. There's so much beauty, and whether you like being in the city or out in the country, it's got a great mix of both. And they've got to have some super cool arenas. I feel like that could host a football game that have just some real cool high tech jumbotrons or whatever. Baseball's already huge out there. I think they could pick up football as well too.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of different leagues, at least to play professionally in other countries. I don't know if Japan has football, but I know there's a lot of other countries at least that have a semi-pro level of American football. So it's spreading. I think they need to have more and more games overseas as possible, which brings it up. I saw a tweet. I forget if it was even a NFL player or just somebody, just ranting on Twitter, but they were saying the stadium is 15 minutes from their house in Philly, and they have to fly 10, 11 hours to Brazil just to play a game. But it's that doesn't even make any sense. You travel in the United States, you probably traveled overseas if it's a player to go on vacations and stuff. Why now? Especially when we have the World Cup coming to New Jersey, you really have no room to talk, because if they're coming all the way over here from Europe, whatever country, to
from
play
all over the
in
world,
New Jersey,
really.
Yeah,
it's the World Cup. It's international.
I don't know. That was just a funny tweet that I saw. Is you're really complaining about going a plane ride to make extra money. It's going to give the NFL money.
you know,
which gives all the teams more money, honestly, to pay more people money.
And it's funny, and it's funny that you bring that up because he did a TikTok yesterday. I guess JJ Watt is staying in a hotel, and when he was working out, apparently they close at 7, and he's like, "What the hell? Why are you guys closing?" And made a big stink about it, you know. And I replied to him, I'm like, you know, this is unusual for you because of the hotels that you stay at, you know. There's just certain hotels like Motel 6 and Super 8. Like, there's a reason why they close early. It's because they're in like bad crime. Like,
yeah, it's not like
right.
It's not the Four
Well, I mean,
Seasons.
Right.
I don't think JJ Watt was at like a shady hotel.
No,
Like,
I don't think so either.
he still makes pretty
Yeah,
good money as like
he's
an
fine.
analyst and everything.
But I'm assuming because I've been to. Well, I haven't been to the Stadium Vegas, but there might be like, it might be in a bad end of Vegas where they're staying.
Maybe that might be true.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I just
That's true. It
just
may
wanted to
just
throw
be-
that out
It
there.
may just be how Vegas is.
Yeah.
You never know, really.
But you know, you mentioned the NFL bringing the game, or not the NFL, the World Cup coming to New Jersey. And I think before we get into that, though, because there's a lot to talk about there, that reminds me that the 49ers, they're upcoming, you know, obviously getting ready for the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. They're the away team this year, so they have to use a college team's practice facility. So they're at the University of Northern Las Vegas practicing there. They're having a lot of complaints with the artificial field or the practice field that they have there.
Only thing I gotta say about that is I feel bad for the UNLV players if that's the condition of their practice facility. It might just be because it's the off season, but if the Chiefs are at the Raiders facility and the Raiders didn't make the playoffs, why is their practice facility in better condition than UNLV?
All right, and I was looking into this a little bit, and I'm just gonna read what I found here. So the practice field for UNLV, it wasn't. I mean, it was like sodded and put down just a week before the 49ers got there and inspected.
Jeez.
That is not normal. Normally, the NFL has this done in December, and so it can go through, you know, multiple weeks of testing and making sure that surface is good for.
I didn't know they prepped multiple months like that.
Yeah, well, they didn't this year, which is very
That's why it
strange.
sucks.
And then, so experts say for an NFL, there's a hardness score for NFL playing surfaces. Now, this is normally on average like 78 for an NFL practice or playing surface, but it's usually it's no lower than 70. That's the standard according to Adam Schefter and some of the experts he's talked to. But he was reporting that some experts are saying that the hardness score of this field was 50.
Oh my goodness.
Yet Goodell says they've had 23 experts say it's a perfectly playable surface and that they can work on it. It might just be a little softer than they're not used to, but it's still fine.
Well,
and
at least it's playable, but it just brings back those skeptics saying that everything is scripted in the league.
Or at least somewhat, right? I mean, what makes it even worse is it's again beneficial to the Chiefs, where the team they're playing against has a bad practice surface.
Mm-hmm.
And remember last year's Super Bowl? I mean, that field was a disaster. I mean, there were players on both teams complaining about how the field was on that. I mean, I remember the Eagles, they had to change cleats like 2-3 times. Like nobody could keep their footing on there.
It just leads to
really
injuries. Injuries in the biggest game of the year for these two teams. Like nobody can really afford to get hurt, even if it's just for a day. Like you don't want to miss a single second of your prep time in these moments. So I understand why they're upset about it. And like I was saying though, I feel bad for the UNLV players if the field is normally like that and it's just hard to practice on. Like that's annoying. It's so hard to actually learn, grow as a team in practice with that. Like you can't even get it done.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, 49ers obviously have extremely talented players, so and they've been doing that at a high level all year, so they can, they'll just have to overcome and get ready for this. So it'll be interesting to see if that does affect them at all, though, in the Super Bowl. But speaking of terrible playing surfaces, that does bring us back to the World Cup coming
MetLife.
to New Jersey at what arguably, I mean, that one of the most dangerous stadium turfs to play on in the NFL.
And we've got some clips to prove it. We have 2 injuries. One was pretty later in the season, Jalen Phillips from Miami Dolphins.
He collapsed. Oh, shit, you good, bro? I think my shit popped. What? My Achilles. I think my Achilles popped, bro. No. You're all right, baby. You know you didn't breathe. You're good. You're all right. You're good. Breathe. Nah, bro, it's gone. It's popped, bro. No, it's not. Shut my up. Achilles, bro. Shut up. Man, you good. Felt like someone like fucking shot me in my fucking Achilles, bro. I thought someone like stepped on me. No fucking way, bro. There's no fucking way. Can you please stop grabbing on it? Oh my God, it hurts, bro. My shit popped, Mike. Good, man.
So a lot of concern about this. Had a heck of a year.
This is the guy that's been challenged throughout his career.
Oh, man.
What the fuck, bro?
Hey, man. Hey, listen. Hey. Hey, you okay? Hey, buddy. You okay? You okay, buddy?
Agonizing, having a great year. Kurt talked about situation in college and retiring from football and coming back and off on the cart.
Why, bro? Why?
Oh, dude.
Damn, bro. I was hooping too.
Please don't be an Achilles. Good God.
All right, ready to go. Hey, guys, we're leaving.
Guys, after seeing Dolphins linebacker Jalen Phillips carted off the field, we were told it is his Achilles, and of course he is out for the game.
And a lot longer.
That's a big hit. You obviously wish him well. And for the Dolphins defense, it's going to be a big loss down the stretch of this season.
Bro, I feel so bad for Jalen, bro. Freaking career year, bro. Bro, I feel so bad. It literally hurts my heart. He having the best year of his life. Like, done everything right, like.
Is treacherous.
It's had 15 season-ending Achilles injuries since 2020, and 2 teams play on that field as their home stadium.
Yeah. And actually,
so it's crazy.
I put together a list of some of those notable injuries and just what they are. And on top of that you're saying the 15 season-ending injuries, in that same time frame, there's been at least 35 or more. I couldn't find an exact number, but it's like 35 plus lower body injuries at that stadium as well. And before I go into that list, just that video, great reminder of these players are obviously world-class athletes, and we see them do incredible things. But sometimes it's hard to forget that they're human because they do such incredible things on the field. But
yeah,
you can see the real human side of that.
That one is a very emotional one,
It's tough
but
one to watch.
Good reminder. Good point you bring up there.
Some big notable season-ending injuries since 2020: Nick Bosa, an ACL; Solomon Thomas, ACL; Jimmy G, ankle sprain; Raheem Mostert, MCL; Sterling Shepard, Achilles and ACL; Wan'Dale Robinson, ACL; Blake Martinez, Achilles. Jabril Peppers, ACL. Kyle Fuller, ACL. Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Phillips, ACL. Or Achilles, rather. Al Woods, Achilles.
It's bad.
It's a dangerous turf. I mean, numerous players. I mean, every time an injury occurs at MetLife Stadium, it feels like there's a wave of current and former players that rush in and have gripes with the stadium. A lot of what people say is the turf just doesn't give way. It's way too hard. They say it like clumps together. It doesn't break up, and you can't get any leeway when you're making cuts and moving at that type of speed. And it's
bad for those players. And it's not just lower body injuries. We have another clip of CJ Stroud in the middle of this season. He did go out with a concussion at MetLife Stadium.
For 6 months, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. With insomnia, nothing's real. Everything's far away. Everything's a copy of a copy of a copy. Insomnia, nothing's real. Everything's far away. Everything's a copy of a copy.
Yeah,
that one looped on us. Sorry, everybody, but that literally could have ended his season right there, and he had one of the best rookie years out of a quarterback in a very long time.
And luckily it didn't. But it goes back to that turf being way too hard, where that forceful impact to the head. I mean, that was a pretty bad looking concussion too. You could tell he was really woozy. I mean, thankfully he was able to kind of walk off without much assistance.
So is it cursed?
I honestly
like
hope not, because 2 teams play there. So that's a lot of NFL players that actually have to go to that stadium every year.
I mean, it's one of those stadiums where it's like, I mean, it needs either a serious remodel or
to
just
get rid of that
torn
turf
down.
I think AstroTurf is the problem.
AstroTurf is really bad, and then it's also one of just the ugliest looking stadiums in the NFL. It looks like a giant tuna can.
Yeah.
And that's where the World Cup is going to be.
The potential for injury on the field, third string bench warmers get playing time. Hey, that's probably the only good thing. Get some people in that deserve a chance.
Glass half full look at it, but it's
very true.
You hate to see it happen to players like that.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking, especially Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, I mean, think Rodgers. He didn't even survive.
Yeah, it was almost like
series.
His injury, like he got injured, and it sucks that he was out for the entire season. But it was almost like comedy, like the movie. The guy comes out like he's gonna save the day, and then he just gets railed by a bus. He walks out like celebrating. They just get like smacked by something. No, it's like he walked out carrying the flag. 2 plays later, he's out for the season.
That makes me think of that. This is a bit of a deep cut for those of us that grew up in the early 2000s, the Spy Kid movies. I forget which one, but it's the scene with the guy, right? And they make a whole big deal of it where he's like, the main character, he's like, I'm the guy. And then this dude's like, he's like, no, you're not. I am. It's a whole inspirational, epic thing. He like walks out, like everyone's like in awe, like, oh my God, it's the guy who's going to come and save us. He like walks into the room that everybody's scared to go into and gets like vaporized.
Yeah, instantly. He takes one step in there. That's the one where it's like, that one is Spy Kids Game Over or something like that. I shouldn't remember that right now, but I don't know why.
Well, trip down memory lane for you. But, what are people's thoughts on the World Cup being in New Jersey? I mean, I guess it's in Rutherford. It's close to New York, so it's kind of like New York, New Jersey. But man, that is going to be.
He's really excited about that.
It's going to be
gonna be so hectic.
it's going to be a
back east,
cultural
man.
shock for a lot of Europeans and just like a lot of people, I think, because my uncle lives in Rutherford, New Jersey. I've been there many times.
The East
And
Coast is
it's-
just so much different.
It is a very that is a Rutherford and New York, like those two areas right there. That is a very densely populated area already.
Yeah,
And
that's gonna be
you're
insane,
going to see an influx. I mean, of millions of people, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions.
So many people watch the
Fans,
World Cup.
players, media from all across the world. Oh, I mean, it is going to be a nightmare.
It's gonna be a no
You-
fly
you,
zone.
you could fly home and
Oh, no, I am. Love you, Uncle Ron, but I am not visiting you during the World Cup. I'm sorry.
Yeah, unless
I-
we're just doing nothing but chilling at your house.
Yeah,
I
unless
would
you're
not want to go to New York or New
because
Jersey.
look, it's already it's already bad enough driving out there. Traffic's usually pretty hectic. I-95 is always real backed up. The Jersey Turnpike, it's
How many times can you say that the World Cup, kind of like Super Bowl, how many times can you say that it's by like arm length? Considering you have family that live there,
That's what's awesome about it.
you know.
I'm kind of glad that we're gonna get that many new people
Yep.
here. To just like get people. It'll really bring people together. It's gonna use sports to kind of make the world seem a little bit smaller than it is, which is gonna be really nice. I think that's kind of what we need right now as people. So good on that. Hopefully nobody has any crazy, scary injuries at MetLife.
yeah. And I wonder, I mean, because soccer players, they don't play on artificial turf. So I wonder if they're going to just tear that field out and they're going to put down a grass field instead.
They should just keep it grass. It should be like the Raiders' old stadium when they used to play in the same stadium as the Oakland A's.
And
So it's half football, half baseball.
correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves correctly, like the finals of the World Cup, that ran into the beginning of the NFL season back in 2022, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because that was still going on during like the first few, like at least week 1 or 2. So that season will be interesting. I mean, I guess maybe they just have to make the Jets and the Giants start out with a little bit of a road stand before they get going at home.
And we have, looks like one thing we've got before our team building exercise this week. We wanted to go through last week. We didn't have the time. We wanted to rank through the most recent coaching hires. Now, I just kind of wrote down each one. I gave them a letter grade ranking, and I kind of gave a reasoning why. So this goes in order from the first to the most recent hire. So we've got New England hiring Jared Mayo.
So is this a segment now, or you're getting to it?
We're getting to it.
We're going to go through our coaching new
once we
hires
do
real
that.
quick.
So I think Jared Mayo, I'm going to put that anywhere from B+ to an A- range. I think it's a good chance for a fresh start with them and, possible chance for Texans 2.0. I think bringing in a former player is really good for these kind of teams that really need a rebuild.
I mean, he's been with the Patriots as a player and a coach for a while. He's their linebackers coach. I think he's really important. He'll keep that identity on defense that New England has had for a really long time. And we're seeing like guys that were former players. We're starting to see a new wave of them being head coaches, and they because players really respect a guy that's been in their position. I think is what we're seeing. So
they've had a lot of success recently as well. Some of the best coaches are former players.
Yeah.
Thinking the guy that just won the Natty and going to the Chargers. I will get to his ranking later on. But the next hire we had, Antonio Pierce was the interim head coach in Las Vegas. I give that one an A+. Honestly, that's one of the best hires this offseason.
Oh, fantastic.
This was completely turned the team around. This guy was a former New York Giant as well. He was on the Super Bowl winning team with Eli Manning when they bested the evil Patriots. So shout out to them back in that day.
And he was another guy where it's just that defense that they came up to life for him.
Second ranked EPA.
Oh yeah.
After he was interim head coach, which is one of literally
And I mean the Raiders, they were dead and lifeless. They looked absolutely defeated, like the season was a wash. I mean, he almost turned it around. They had a very slim chance there towards the end to make the playoffs, but they didn't get it. But that's a team. I mean, I was hoping they'd mess this up as a certified Raider hater being a Broncos fan, but they did an excellent job bringing him back, and they're going to be a good team next year, I believe.
Smart hire. I'm excited to see who Oakland takes with that 13th pick this season. The next one we have, though, the Titans hiring Brian Callahan. I gave this one a C- to be nice. I honestly wanted to give it an F. I don't understand why you are firing Mike Vrabel in the first place. It's really annoying. I mean, honestly, for the Titans, why not Bill Belichick? That if no other team went to hire him, why not Bill Belichick? You got rid of Mike Vrabel for no reason. I feel like they could have done something better than with Brian Callahan.
I mean, Callahan, he did do, I guess he did some good things there in Cincinnati, being their OC. Obviously, the Bengals had a good offense, but it's one of those things where it's like, is he
ready to
is he
rebuild?
Really that great of a coach, or is he just benefiting from a team that has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon? Like, did the Bengals drop off offensively after Burrow got hurt? Not really. So
yeah,
I mean, maybe it's a good hire, but it's just like I don't think it was fair to move on from Vrabel. I mean, that guy had a lot of years of success coaching for you, but you just kept giving away his best players.
Yeah, it's like that's not his fault that you guys traded away AJ Brown
and Kevin Byard.
Could literally, we could talk about that for a whole 2 hours. Next hire, though, Jim Harbaugh at the Chargers. I think this one's probably an A+ just because of his momentum right now.
$125 million for 10 years compared to $30 million for 5 years with Michigan.
Dang. That is, dude, he's getting a huge pay raise, which
how much of that is guaranteed too? I mean, if I'm Harbaugh, I'm throwing and then getting fired, then I get to take a 9-year paid vacation.
No, seriously though. Imagine they just go 0-17.
No, I do like this. I mean, I think that was this was one of the best teams for Harbaugh to go to coming out of the college level. It's a team, tons of talented players on the roster already.
They desperately needed a coach as well.
And yeah, Michigan had a top-rated defense with Harbaugh there, and that's where the Chargers really need help, is on the defensive side of the ball. As much as Brandon Staley wanted to call the defensive play calling, it was just not.
It wasn't working out.
It's not working.
They had a really underperforming season.
Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl next year. Watch.
I mean, they might still charge you. They do have a history of choking, but I definitely think that this point puts them to be a good team to go to the playoffs again, where they were just 2 seasons ago.
Excited to see what happens.
That was probably the best fit team for Harbaugh.
Seriously,
he made the right decision going there.
Former quarterback of them as well was also in Baltimore. Let's see. We got the Carolina Panthers next up, hiring Dave Canales. I'm going to say that one's like C+ B range. I mean, because you can't really get any worse from where you are. Literally the worst offense in the league. I mean, he's had success with offenses in the past, so I think them getting an offensive-minded coach like him will help. But
hello, Eric.
Eric, they are the Chargers. Exactly. They'll find a way to screw it up.
Eric gets it. Eric knows what we're talking about.
He knows what we're talking about. That's hilarious.
Back to the Panthers, all right. Canales, I'll say I I do like this. They need to get Bryce Young some weapons, all right, and some protection. I mean, there's a lot of work that the Panthers need to do, but Young he struggled this year. But look at what Canellas did with Mayfield. You know, the offense that they made for him, and I mean, the season Mayfield had, it kind of revitalized his career. So
Yeah, I think that's a good fit for him in Carolina. Let's see if he can rebuild.
can they get Bryce Young going? Because he struggled mightily. Again, protection for Young is going to be the biggest thing. He was the most sacked quarterback in the league. I mean, that's tough for any type of QB, no matter how long you've been in the league. But for a rookie, especially without like a real number one option, it was brutal. So that's he's got an uphill climb, but I think he was a good hire for the Panthers.
Next one, staying in the NFC South, Raheem Morris in Atlanta. That one I'm going to give it an A+ as well. He just seems really confident, and he wants to actually use the pieces correctly. Unlike Arthur Smith, you got Bijan Robinson. I forget their young tight end prospect that they just got, but he's the second string under Kyle Pitts. They're both pretty solid. Drake London is solid. I worry a little bit for what they're going to do with Desmond Ridder, or if they're going to just move ahead and try to draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft, because we've got a huge class of them. But I mean, there's some strengths in Ridder's game as well.
I like this move a lot for the Falcons as well. You have so much raw talent on the offensive side of the ball that as long as you can figure out your play caller situation and figure out the way to utilize, I mean, just don't do what Arthur Smith did and avoid using Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. If you can utilize those guys, you'll be all right offensively. Where the Falcons needed help was on the defensive side of the ball. You're bringing in the defensive-minded coach and Raheem Morris. I mean, the Rams have had a top 10 rated defense the whole time he's been there, I believe. And they were especially really good last year. I think this is going to really help shore up your weaker side of the ball as the Falcons. And again, guy, ton of confidence, former player, I believe, as well.
First head coaching job after being one of the most respected coordinators in the league for almost his entire career.
Yeah.
Like, there's only good words about Raheem Morris, like, before and after getting this job. So as a Saints fan, I'm a little scared because sometimes our defense is allergic to tackles. Yep. And Bijan Robinson's pretty fast. And we don't need another beast quake. We don't.
Well, and what I was going to say is I don't think it's so much the bad tackles. I think that NFL players, they're not worried about the tackle as much as they are, hitting that ball out, because I see that a lot.
The Saints do go for the ball pretty aggressively. Yeah. That's why I'm glad we have Demario Davis. He actually hits
all
people.
All teams that have bad tackling, we should look at them, because chances are they have a higher turnover rate because of that.
And I actually wanted to get into that later in more basketball sense. But, some teams just play more conservatively and some are more aggressive. And like, since all sports, in my opinion, is similar to like a chess game, sometimes it works against some teams, other teams more prepared. They know your moves, more scouted. So it's really, there's so many gears on a football team that, like, I don't know, one coaching hire and us praising them. I think Raheem Morris is a good hire, and I think there's going to be huge improvements, but there's more gears than just the head coach and the quarterback, which some people seem to pick on those two the most when it comes to winning games, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, so we're moving along in new coaching hires. We got two more to cover.
Mike.
The Commanders hired Dan Quinn, Cowboys defensive coordinator. What would you grade that, Cedric?
That one, honestly, my honest opinion, was like a C to a D range. He led two great offenses with Dallas, and he was the defensive coordinator in Seattle for quite some time. during the Legion of Boom era and all that. So he's led two amazing defenses as his time as a coordinator. But this guy was the head coach of the Falcons during the 28-3 year, and he was also the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys this season after their whole defensive downfall against the Packers in the playoffs. So I feel like you had Ron Rivera before. Is this a little better? Yes, but is it that much better? Not really, in my opinion.
I'm not too thrilled about this one. I don't know. The Commanders, that's a team that needs a lot of work. And we saw like Dan Quinn, he had a team that was pretty loaded with talent. I mean, he had Matt Ryan, in the prime of his career, with Julio Jones in the prime of his career. Did take him to a Super Bowl, but then it was a sharp fall off after that.
Extremely.
And then he spent his whole time in Dallas coaching a very dominant defense. I'll give him that, but it was a defense loaded with talent all across the board. And that's not to say that the Commanders don't have some talented players, but I feel like it's just the talent level compared to the Cowboys to the Commanders is dipped.
Yeah, they lost two of their best
significantly
defensive players this season in trades. So,
and
we'll see.
It's like maybe if the Commanders are willing to be patient with them on the rebuild, but they're one of those teams that just seems like they want results now. So I don't know how long he'll be able to last there.
And in Seattle, our final coaching hire before we do team building exercise, Mike Macdonald in Seattle. This one, honestly, kind of A to B. He's a pretty defensive minded coach, which is good for that Seattle team. It was kind of the point I wanted to bring up in the aggressive play style of some defenses. They actually come out there and they hit you. It's not like a more conservative game. Like they're ready to make you make mistakes instead of a defense waiting for the offense to make mistakes. I feel like some teams' defenses, they want to just be the mistake and they're there to mess you up, and that's what they're going to do. I think that's going to be pretty good for them. I mean, primarily intense and strong defensive-minded coach, but that team kind of needs some work on the offense, honestly. I feel like their receiving core is good. They have a very, very good running back, but do they stick with Geno Smith?
That's going to be interesting to see. It's like Drew Lock, he's going to be a free agent. We saw him play pretty well against Eagles in prime time. Seahawks are in a very interesting spot. I like this hire for them because they have a really young, talented defense. McDonald's Ravens defense was incredibly dominant this year.
SS Star 22 from TikTok says Cowboys Chargers Super Bowl.
That
interesting
there. That would actually be a pretty
right
interesting game. Two that we haven't seen in there in a while.
I don't think the Chargers have ever gone, have they? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, they haven't.
They've gotten close a few times, but I don't think they've ever been able to make it.
Dang, man.
What I think is so funny is that the Dallas Cowboys are the only football team that they could have a horrible season, and then that next year, everybody thinks that they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. There's the joke that they got the most delusional fan base in the league. I don't know about that. I think, I think every fan base is delusional where, the season starts, and even if it's just for a few days, we do genuinely believe, our team
everybody
we were delusional until week 4.
If you're a real NFL fan, like you always think your team's going to go to the Super Bowl.
Everyone starts up here, and there's just levels throughout the season.
Yeah.
You're up and down, and that's how I knew I really loved football. Like when I was young, I would get like that. So that's what I was like, yeah, it's my team right here.
It can be a brutal sport because there's a lot of lows and there's a lot of highs, but it's just part of the thrill of the game.
Yeah, sometimes there's way more lows than there is highs.
Lightning, and you're gonna crap.
With that, though, we're gonna head into our first segment of the day, team building exercise.
Gotta get our wheel pulled up. But for those of you that are new, don't know how this works, we're gonna spin a random team wheel here to put together a little bit of an NFL roster. What we do, you get to pick 2 wide receivers, you get to pick a quarterback, a running back, a tight end. You can pick the team's entire offensive line and an entire defense. So me and Caveman, we put together a team, and then we go head to head against each other, and then we let you, the fans, vote. Tell us who do you think's who's gonna win, right? And we've been keeping track on the season, so we've done it a couple times. The votes we've gotten so far.
Am I playing it? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, roll it.
All right. But yes, as we were saying, we've been doing this since week 1. So far, after we've tallied all our votes together, it is 1-1. Last week, HG took the win, and I took the win in week 3. And we've also done basketball. Just got a quick starting 5 on a team wheel. Yeah, let's see who we get this week. Last week, when I was watching it back, your receiving core was absolutely insane.
It was stacked. I got
AJ
a really
Brown, Tyreek Hill, and you had Conklin, I think. No, I had Conklin.
I
You
had Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, you had Dalton Schultz.
See, my defense was very sketchy because I went with the Commanders, but I think I had just such good skill players that it was, you're like, you could trust that team to put up points if they needed to, because it was Herbert at quarterback, and then we had Jonathan Taylor running the ball.
Oh, yeah. And I had the 49ers defense, so that run game would have been super explosive against us.
Well, I had the Bengals O-line, which is, they're all right. They'll get the job done. But all right, I believe I went first last week, so I'll let you go ahead and start this week. But go ahead and give us our first spin H train.
Okay.
Who do we got there?
Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Ooh.
I'm going to take Kyler Murray as your quarterback. Who did I get for my first spin? Is it the Falcons?
Yes, so Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going to take Bijan Robinson.
That is a solid pick. Got the Titans now. Okay. I'm gonna take DeAndre Hopkins.
Who did I get there? I got the Jets. Give me their defense. It was the number one defense in the league last year.
The Packers. Okay, I could have had Jordan Love. I'll go ahead and take Romeo Dobbs.
Okay, I like that. That's interesting.
I don't know. You guys like that music?
No, thank you for turning that.
Yeah, thank you. We had elevator music going.
Oh, okay. I got the Rams. Yo, give me Puka.
That's a very solid pick. He got the catch of the year. Did you see that on the Pro Bowl? He was on a jet ski and caught a football and dove in the ocean. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, I just love that guy. All-time name too. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better background music for a wheel. Good call, H.
Much better.
All right.
They need to take some notes, Ward Wall.
I'll give our next spin for Caveman.
This would be number 4 for me.
These are looking pretty good so far, though. Yeah.
Trying to find it. Hold on.
Oh. I got a lot of rookies so far. Bijan, Puka. Definitely, if we were starting a franchise with this, I'd love my upside too.
There's our tab there.
Not having too many tabs open.
Oakland
The Raiders.
Give me that defense. They went up. They improved so much. Give me that defense.
My next spin. QB. Get here. The Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals.
Cincy. Ooh. Could take Joe Burrow. I'm gonna take Joe Burrow.
Okay. That's a solid pick right there.
We're gonna put, injuries from last season, those are gone too. Where all these guys were taken, they'd be fully healthy.
Vikings. I'll take TJ Hawkinson as my tight end.
Yeah, it's like too bad you already took your receivers. That would be a no-brainer otherwise. We got here. Ooh, the Chargers. You know what? Give me Keenan Allen.
Final two spins.
Player as he likes to go by.
Cincy again. Okay. I'll take Joe Mixon. I'm going to pray that I get a good O-line here on my last one.
O-line and tight end. Oh, God. Oh, man. I'll take Logan Thomas because I do not want their offensive line.
I wouldn't either. Just don't give me Carolina or New England like I had. Baltimore. I will take that O-line. That's the best run offense. Let's go.
Final spin for me. Let's hope I can get a good offensive line.
I feel like I shouldn't save that for last, and then every week I do. Jacksonville.
All right, that's not terrible.
Not a terrible O-line.
They're not as good as the Ravens, but I got some weapons there for Joe Burrow.
We've got little Kyler Murray out there at quarterback. You might not be able to see him over the Ravens O-line. I've also got Joe Mixon at running back. Kyler Murray's going to be throwing it to Romeo Doubs, D-Hop, and TJ Hawkinson at tight end. And I've also got the Raiders defense.
And then my team, we have Joe Burrow, man in the helm, rookie sensation, Bijan Robinson, and Puka Nacua as wide receiver. One, Keenan Allen at the 2 spot. Logan Thomas at tight end. We've got the Jaguars offensive line and the Jets defense.
Star 22 off TikTok says the caveman's got it this week.
Oh,
Joe Burrow and Puka Na, and has the thumbs down.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Let's go.
That's already one vote for Team Caveman.
There we go.
So let us know, people. Team Caveman, Team HG. Whose team takes home the win in this week's matchup?
Appreciate your vote there, Star. Starting it off right this week. So I'll come home and get a video out too so we can get some more votes in. But with
Always
that,
put a poll up on Spotify as well.
let us know what you think and make sure to text or call in 720-619-0627. We're going to head to a quick break. First one of the show. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the NBA All-Star Week, their All-Star Weekend coming up, and we're going to see who got snubbed. We'll be talking about the dunk contest, all the challenges, rising stars. We'll be right back.
Stay with us, folks.
Been home about 6 months now, and I still have my doubts. Well, I'm not sure how I got here or how I'm gonna get out. Well, my mama says I look the same as I did before I left. But if she could see inside of me, it would scare her to death. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, it weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Last Saturday they honored us in a small parade downtown. And when they shot off those fireworks, I nearly hit the ground. And while they smiled and cheered for us, all I could do was stare. 'Cause part of me is here at home, but part of me's back there. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, it weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. They taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Yeah, there's no end in sight. 'Cause even though I'm home now, I'm still fighting for my life. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, it weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Well, the devil's won some battles, and he may win some more, but don't he know the American soldier will always win the war?
What's up, everybody? Almost back with Sports in the Cave. HG and I are just putting some shots up. Let me bury this 3 real quick, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm already down 1-0 in team building exercise. So hey, remember to vote.
Oh, we're tied. Oh yeah, on votes this week.
This week, yeah. I'm trying to. Hey, I don't want to start the year 1-2. Statistically, you're less likely to make the playoffs. So. All right. Well, what do we got next on the agenda, Caveman? The All-Star
NBA
break.
All-Star Weekend. I think honestly there was a lot of snubs, but 2 of the people that I thought got snubbed are in it now because of injury. Scotty Barnes and let's see, Trae Young are in there. I still think De'Aaron Fox should have made it, but I don't know.
Hitman Sabonis. You know, those are the last 2 guys that I was mad weren't in it. That's you know, obviously everybody that did get picked is having a really good year, but it's just like, you know, what kind of makes me mad is like, all right, the Lakers, right? They're like hovering right there on an 8 or a 9 seed all season. LeBron and AD make it. I mean, LeBron is going to make it regardless. He's still one of the most popular players in the league. And it's like, but Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox got their team at a 5 seed in the West, almost up to 30 wins. They're like 29 and 20. Neither one of them makes it. I mean, Sabonis is almost averaging a triple-double. He's averaging 20 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists a game, and on 66% true shooting. You got De'Aaron Fox. He's got a 27, 4, and 5 splits on 57% true shooting. I mean, both those guys having really good seasons. Team's performing really well. It's hard to not have them in that. I'm glad Trae Young and Scotty Barnes got in because of the Embiid and Randall injuries, though.
With those 2 making it in, here's the rest of my list. So we got De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. Definitely think Derek White got snubbed. A great season for him so far. Wemby, honestly, he made the Rising Stars because he's a rookie, but with the numbers he's putting up, I think that's like all-star level of play, especially on that team. You also got Harden. I mean, I didn't think that he was going to have that big of an impact, but he's honestly kind of playing some pretty good basketball.
Boy, he proved us wrong.
Lauri Markkanen over in Utah, amazing young player out of Arizona. He's a pretty good shooter, good at spacing the floor. And I think Utah could be pretty scary if they keep growing those players. They have a pretty stacked lineup, more than people would think. They're kind of dropping down right now in the rankings of the West because there's just a lot of powerhouses. But I still think he should have made it on there. Alperen Sengun, definitely another name. Jared Allen, Miles Turner missed. Kristaps. I mean, even Jamal Murray didn't make it.
Yeah, I feel like was maybe the biggest snub. It's like the problem with Jamal Murray is he kind of like takes the night off against bad teams.
Yeah.
Like he's got the nickname playoff man. Like he's like, if it's not a good team, like he's not going to have a good night. So there's also the joke on Nuggets Twitter that like he had a bad game against the Thunder. And so they were like, Thunder, you're on fraud watch.
Other than Murray, MPJ, Terry Rozier, Aaron Gordon, probably, I think, got snubbed a little bit. But, they're all having good seasons. And, all-star break, quick weekend for everybody to just reset. So even if they didn't make it, good time to go out and celebrate their game a little bit with the people they're close to.
I believe you could have put Peyton Watson in the Rising Star game. And then
I actually like how they're doing it this year. So it's a 4-team tournament. So three NBA Rising Star teams and 1 team from the G League. And it's going to not be timed. So it's a tournament. So the first 3 games are going to be to 40 points. No timer on the clock, just a shot clock for each team. So the game ends for whoever reaches 40 or more points. And then the final game is going to be up to 25 points. So that's going to be awesome. I think that draft was pretty cool. Just break it up and get more players involved. Because there's so many young players that are playing out of their mind.
Did Jalen Williams make it?
He did.
Okay,
he did.
Just wanted to make sure there.
There was him
and
Carson.
All the Rising Star rosters.
There was 3 Thunder players that were available to get picked. But how it worked too, each team submitted a ballot. So their players and all their organization put in a ballot and voted for a player on their team that they wanted to see in the draft. And the final tally of votes was totaled up by the NBA and then made the list of people that the players could draft. So that's going to be fun. I like the little tournament aspect of it.
Also, my biggest problem for All-Star Weekend 3-point contest. I'll kind of just go over why. So first, I'm just going to list the 7 participants that are going to be in the All-Star contest. We do have also the 3-point shootout between Steph and Sabrina Ioannidis. That's going to be interesting to see. I'm actually pretty stoked about that. Probably the 2 best 3-point shooters from their respective basketball leagues. Be interesting to see who wins that head to head. If they're going to do this, I also think the NBA should give us DeMarcus Cousins versus Brittany Griner.
That would be that would honestly shake up the league.
First to 11, something like that. I mean,
that would be so sick.
That'd be dope.
But this 3-point,
yeah,
I got a few just names here. Grayson Allen shooting almost 50% from 3 right now. Aaron Nesmith, Malik Beasley, and Marcus Sasser. They're all shooting so good right now. Mercury has a huge list of everything.
Yes. So I got a little fired up about this one because, all right, so I'm going to just show you where my thought process went with everyone, because here's all of our players in the 3-point contest. We got Malik Beasley. He's shooting 45% from the field. He's made 133 threes this year. We got Jalen Brunson, 41% from 3, 131 makes. Halliburton shooting 39% from there with 123 makes. Dame, he's shooting 34%. That's actually pretty low for him with 139 makes from 3. Laurie Markkinen, 40%. He's made 138 threes. Tyrese Maxey, 38%. He's made 140 threes. And then Donovan Mitchell also shooting 38% with 140 makes. Now, I'm going to go to 3-point shots made. And the top 7 players there and their respective shooting percentages. So, number 1, well, we've got Steph. He's made 213 3-pointers this year, and he's shooting 41% from there. Then next up, and by the way, Steph is winning, has the most made threes by a wide margin, because next up at second place, Luka. He's made 167 at 37%.
He's way ahead. Holy
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
And we got Paul George. He's made 156 at 41%. Then for fourth and fifth, it's kind of a tie between Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trae Young. They've both made 154. Hardaway shooting 36%. Young is shooting 38%. And then Bogdanovich, he's made 151 at 37%. Then at 7, we've got Dante DiVincenzo. He's made 150 at 41%. Now, I know what you can say. Well, those guys are just taking a lot of threes. Maybe you can't just look at volume. Look at shooting percentage. Well, all right, let's go to our top 7 3-point shooters in terms of shooting percentage. Number 1, as Caveman mentioned, Grayson Allen. He's at 49% right now, and he's made 114. And I'll know everybody on the top 7 3-point percentage shooting, all but Jalen Williams have shot more than 200 3-pointer attempts as well. And they're shooting at this high level.
And none of these people actually made the 3-point contest.
One of them did, and you'll see it in just a second.
Just one.
So then behind Allen, we have Aaron Nesmith. He's at 46% with 101 makes. Kevin Durant's at 46% with 100 makes. Kawhi Leonard, 48% with 107 makes. Jalen Williams, 45%, 66 makes. Malik Beasley, also at 45 with 133. And Norman Powell at 45% with 103. So you look at the guys making the most 3-pointers in the league, the guys with the highest shooting percentage from 3 in the league. Only one of them's in the 3-point contest.
That is
the 7
dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Of the 7 3-point contestants, only one of them is top 7 in either shooting percentage or 3-pointers made in the year.
Yeah,
I just find that interesting.
I just went to their 3-point shooting percentage when I checked like stats and stuff, getting my notes, and I was just really confused why I didn't see anybody on the list that's actually in it. That's so dumb that they did that. It felt like they just kind of threw in names.
I mean, I feel like Damian, now it just feels like we're just trying to give it to the big names, like Brunson, Lillard, Markkinen, Halliburton, all up there, Mitchell. I mean, like most of these guys are also playing in the All-Star game. And the 3-point contest used to be awesome because you get guys that were just kind of role players, but they executed well, like they were great at shooting the 3 and they added value to their team that way. They got a chance to come out to the All-Star weekend and show off their skills. And it feels like the past 2 seasons, we just haven't really gotten that. We're not putting this season's best 3-point shooters. We're not putting them in the contest to compete and show us what's going on. We're just putting guys that are already in the All-Star game that have maybe been known to shoot the 3 well in the past or are shooting decent from 3 this year. We're putting them in. And it's like, I want to see the top guys. Like I want you to be top 10 in either makes or percentage and be in the 3-point contest.
Yeah, if Grayson Allen's shooting almost 50%, isn't that going to put on a great show at the 3-point contest? If he shoots it well during the contest, it's like it's going to get pretty competitive. It's going to be a show. I don't know. That I didn't like that when I saw it either. Were you able to find out the names for the dunk contest yet? Because when I was doing my research yesterday, they hadn't released it yet. At least NBA.com hadn't.
The only one I saw was Matt McClung is coming back to defend his title.
Okay.
I believe.
I think that's always going to be a fun one, though.
I mean, the dunk contest, as long as you can find some guys with bounce, that's good. And they do a good job of like they bring in like the guy, like some of the bounciest dudes that can really put on a show. So I'm not too worried about the dunk contest. I just don't want Karl Malone to be a judge again. That's my only issue with that.
Next story today, pretty recently, the 8 or 9 game win streak that the New York Knicks were on is broken. Now, I think they lost to the Celtics, but they are
the Lakers.
The Lakers, excuse me. They're a very scary team right now.
Oh, they've been
5 players above
fire.
15 points per game. They're shooting as a team 37% from 3 and 46 from the field. They do pretty well against size, honestly. They have Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jericho Sims is getting good minutes, Precious Achua, and honestly, Anunoby at like 6'8", 6'9" as a small forward. It creates a pretty tall lineup and smaller guards in when you got Brunson and Quickly out there with them.
Yeah,
that team is crazy.
Value to the Knicks. That was a good trade by them.
That trade did a lot more than we really thought. But with that being said about the Knicks and how they're playing right now, who do you think is going to win out the East as we get to springtime? Who do you think's going to come out number 1 in the Eastern Conference?
All right. Well, that is a tough one. I do think it's going to be the Celtics still. Reason being is they have a 6-game lead on the next closest team. I did take the top 5 teams in that conference because I want the people to be able to call and tell us what they think. So I'm going to give you the Celtics and my reasons why in just a second. But in the East, just so everybody can kind of have some perspective on the top 5 teams, the Celtics, they are 38-12. They're 23-3 at home. I also took the home record so you can kind of see how important home court advantage could be to each team, right? Celtics 38-12. They're 23-3 at home. They've got an offensive rating of 121.3, defensive rating of 111.6. That's a net of 9.7. Pretty good. They're shooting 47% from the field, 38% from 3. Pretty solid team. Cavaliers right now, they're 32-16. They're actually up here at the 2 spot, 18-8 at home, 116 offensive rating, 111 defensive rating. It's good for 5.2 net, 48% from the field, 36% from 3. And then the Bucks, who have kind of gone on the slide. I mean, they're 1-4 in the Doc Rivers era. They're 38-8 or 33-18, 21-5 at home with a 120.5 rating on offense, 117 on defense. So that's good for 3.4 net, 49% from the field, 37% from 3. And we got the Knicks. They're behind them at 4. They've been picking up steam, 33-18. They're 19-6 at home. Got a 111 rating, 113 on defense, 46% from the field, 37% from 3. And then the Sixers, currently at 5, they're 30-19, 17-8 at home, 119.8 offensive rating, 114 defensive, 47% from the field, 36 from 3. Their big thing, Embiid's going to be missing some significant time. So, with all that, what do you got? Who do you think is going to win the East? Me personally, I think you got to give it to the Celtics. I mean, they have been next to unstoppable at home. That's just such a deep team. I mean, because you got the guy like Brown and Tatum, who are all stars and are just have been playing together for so long, are such good players. But then you got like the defensive presence of Drew Holiday, Derek White coming off the bench for them defensively, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford. Like you got 2 big men that can score at all 3 levels. Horford's a force defensively, and Porzingis is pretty good on the defensive end of the court as well. It's just such a deep team that they have a big lead on everybody that I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch him.
I agree with that. I was thinking either Celtics, if they keep their win streak, if they get that win streak back up and at home, the Garden, one of the hardest places to win in. And I think with the momentum of having a number 1 seed, they'll probably do much better in the playoffs than they have in the past. I think the Celtics are the close very far ahead, number one. And the two teams that are right there in the rearview mirror are Philly and New York in the East. What are your thoughts on
So the
the
Nuggets
West
are
right
out
now?
of it now?
They're in the West.
They're in the West.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, we're talking about the East right now, though. I don't know about Philly, man. With Embiid missing time, I don't think they're going to be able to win enough games to. They'll still definitely make the playoffs, but they're about 8 games back right now. You're going to be missing your best player. It's just going to be tough for them to rally.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Cavs have really gotten it going. They've won 4 in a row now, 5 in a row. The Bucks are kind of dropping, and the Knicks are picking up steam. So I think you're looking at probably one's going to be the Celtics, and then 2 and 3, and this is subject to change. But Cavaliers, Knicks.
It's about 9:35, so we'll go through, because I do want to talk about our mock drafts here for a little bit before we go into our final 2 segments.
So
who do you got for the Western Conference, though?
Okay, well, I won't, just to save some time, I won't go over all the ratings, but top 5 teams we got right now, and it is a 4-way tie for first between the Clippers, Thunderwolves, Timberwolves, Thunder, and the Nuggets. 3 of those teams, the T-Wolves, Thunder, Nuggets are 35 and 16. The Clippers are 34 and 15. So by default, they're in first place right now. All those teams have a pretty good home record. None of them have lost more than 6 games at home. They're all shooting 37% or better from 3 and 49% or better from the field. This one right now feels like a toss-up to me. I don't think the Thunder are going to win it because it's a very good young team, but I think down the stretch, it's like, do they have a true number 2 next to the Shea yet? They've got guys that have that potential, Chet, Jalen Williams, Giddey, maybe. It's just, but is that guy there right now? I don't think so. I don't think they'll have a true number 2 option to back up Shea there, when it comes down to it, where him, like a lot of these other teams have. The Nuggets, obviously, they have Murray and Jokic. The T-Wolves, they've got Ant and Cat. And then the Clippers got their big 3 with Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi. So to me, and it's almost impossible for me to pick somebody. So I got to give it 3 ways. It's either going to be the Clippers, T-Wolves, or Nuggets.
Yeah.
Who has the best chance? I feel like T-Wolves, because it seems like everything's starting to click for them. You've got a rising star in Anthony Edwards, but it's hard to want to bet against the defending champs, especially, they've been staying really healthy again. Knock on wood for them. And it's a tough place to go and play up there in Denver. You got the altitude. The city's been getting really into basketball these past few years, and they're a super unselfish team, because that's how their superstar plays with Jokic. And then the Clippers, Kawhi, Paul George, Harden, those guys have been playing at a high level for years, and they're all really starting to kind of return to form. Before they had these few years of injuries and everything where that was holding them down. They're looking really good. And just also, let's just watch out for Phoenix to make a run. I'll say that. I don't know if they'll be able to storm all the way back and take first, but look for them to climb. I mean, because Bradley Beal's getting healthy again. You already got KD and Booker. We saw Bradley's first game back healthy. Granted, it's a homecoming against the Wizards, but he went off 43 points.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching him last night play Milwaukee, though, and he hit some couple of clutch shots late in the fourth. Really, every time the Bucks started to kind of claw their way back, he would just hit like a big dagger to put them out of it. And they've had 10 games where players scored 40 or more points. Booker's had 5, KD had 4, and then Beal the other night in DC had 1. So watch out for them. They're getting healthy. Kevin Durant, he's still got it. He's still playing at a high level. Booker, also, I mean, one of the best three-level scorers in the whole NBA. He can create a shot just about anywhere. And now you got Bradley Beal getting healthy. Keep an eye on the Suns as well.
Oh yeah. And what's our time like, H Train? I think Denver takes it as well.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Okay. Then with that, we are going to head over and do our branching out segment this week. We've got some multi-sport athletes to talk about.
Branching out this week, we were inspired by, it was Mookie Betts. This is actually all that inspired our bowling trick shots last week, but he bowled a perfect game at a PBA tournament.
And we do have that clip. We have the last 4 shots here.
And just watch how firm and straight Mookie's throwing these shots.
Light mixer goes.
Ball in his hand right now, according to Rob Gottschall. It's a symmetrical course, so it's really easy for him to control. He's a very control and feel player out in the lanes. And these tougher patterns, you might sacrifice some carry once in a while for some control, but not right now for carry.
4 different animal patterns.
I mean, just to be able to come in here and you don't want to say short notice, but he doesn't have a lot of time to practice before these World Series. The natural talent coming through.
11 in a row. Boston Red Sox outfielder Mookie Betts on the precipice of perfection. 300 game for Mookie Betts. As we have
do that. That's pretty crazy.
I mean, just because to bowl a 300, I mean, you have to bowl a lot, because that's a game of, you really need to know your angles and you need to have that touch to put the right spin on the ball. And to be able to do that, it's the most shots you can take is what, 14, right, to get the 300.
Yeah,
hit 10 strikes on all 10 frames, plus you got to get
3 at the end.
Yeah, the turkey at the end for it. So to be able to have that touch 14 shots in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's impressive. So that got us thinking about some other, great multi-sport athletes or players that have had some big performances in sports that they don't usually play, or guys that have played multiple sports.
Can we talk about Draymond first?
First one that came to mind for us, because we're a couple of chuckleheads, was Draymond Green in the MSU spring game. Go ahead, roll that.
Oh, come on, big fella. He's a little excited. He's a little excited out there.
I don't like his stance really, but he's locked up.
He's jammed.
Oh, almost. Oh, we got interference.
Hey, interference. There you go.
Is it just me, or does it look like he has way more padding on than anybody else too?
Yeah, he looks so much bigger than everyone else. He has the full body suit thing on, like a quarterback. The giant shoulder pads.
Yeah,
it's just funny
he just looks
to see that.
So out of place in there. Now that was one of your worst performances when you're playing a different sport than your own. But one of the better ones we had was DK Metcalf in last year's Celebrity All-Star game, albeit that wasn't against a ton of professional athletes. He did win the Celeb Game MVP. He had 20 points, 10 rebounds, so double-double, and he picked up 4 blocks. So I mean, that was still pretty impressive. You know, he's just goes to show, like, with the athleticism some of these football players have, that they could really excel.
Yeah, that's why a
So,
lot of
another
them
story.
play multiple sports. They're just freak athletes like that.
And you know, one of the big ones that comes to mind, Mr. Kyler Murray, never actually ended up going to the MLB, but he was one of the, or actually the only player to be drafted in the first round of the NFL and MLB draft.
We've got a clip of him absolutely cranking.
Low and in, end up blowing away.
Best ball player in
you never
college.
really know where that ball's going.
I know where that ball's going. Big fly by Kyler Murray, and that ball is gone. His 10th jack of the year. Look out, Naismith Drive. He can throw touchdowns on the gridiron and hit long balls on the diamond, and that one was an absolute no-doubter.
Wow. One of the quickest balls I've seen get out of here. That was light.
First round draft pick in both sports. I mean, I think the Cardinals took him number 1 overall, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
That is just it's pretty crazy to see that as well. Just the amount of skill that takes. Multiple sports.
Hasn't had like the most successful NFL career just yet, but we see there's a lot of upside in his game. He's kind of had to deal with some injuries and all that too, but he might be the hardest quarterback to sack with just how elusive he is. You remember it was, I believe, week one or two of last season, and like it was like the longest 2-point conversion ever, where he like ran back like 30 yards. He's getting chased, still keeping the play alive. Like runs clear from like the right sideline, loops all the way back around to the left sideline, then like kind of leaks back up to the middle before finally just running towards the left end zone's pylon, the left of the end zone of that pylon, and getting the 2 points.
It's pretty crazy.
It was an untimed play. But I think that play like lasted like 33 seconds was the official
Who else we got
timer
on
on
our
the stopwatch
here?
All right. Well, next up, I'll put Michael Jordan on there. We all remember he had that season in the minors. Actually did pretty good for himself. 88 hits, 3 homers. He had a batting average of .202. And when he wasn't able to get back to the majors, he decided to return to basketball, went on to win 3 more championships. We all know his basketball achievements, but what could have been if MJ decided to stay on the basketball route? Definitely showed some upside there. The next guy I got here, though, another Heisman winner that never played in the NFL, believe it or not. It's Charlie Ward. He was a dual sport athlete at FSU. Played football. He was a quarterback for FSU in the 90s. And he also played college b-ball. Won the Heisman Trophy in 1993. On his career in college, he had 5,747 passing yards and 49 passing TDs. And on top of that, he also had 889 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. He only averaged about 10.5 per game in college basketball.
And we've got a clip of him as well.
Yeah, before we roll that real quick, H-Train, he dropped to the 4th round in the NFL draft, and he was adamant that if he wasn't the first round pick, he was not going to play in the NFL. So the New York Knicks, they drafted him 26th overall in the 94 draft. So he ended up playing 10 years in the NBA. Over his career, he wasn't anything crazy. He averaged about six points, 3 boards, and 4 assists a game. His best season in 2003 and 4, he averaged 9 points, 3 boards, 5.
Ward took another big shot, but he got the ball to Tamarick Vanover, and we'll see you tomorrow. Touchdown, Seminoles, 86 yards. Blitz coming on it, picked up, and Charlie Ward takes off. Ward inside the 10, touchdown.
It's a clear out for Charlie Ward.
Working on best to win the game. Charlie puts it in! Charlie Ward with 2 seconds to go.
Ward steals it. It's over. The Seminoles beat Duke for the first time in the history of the school.
Good. Like, it's kind of shocking that he didn't get a chance to play in the NFL.
Yeah, seriously,
What
a
could have been
Heisman
there?
quarterback, and he didn't even get drafted in the first round of the NFL. That is really crazy to think about. Crazy to think about for all of them, like how their careers would have changed and turned out differently if they decided to go with the other sport.
Going on to our next guy here. Well, I mean, we had to put Bo Jackson on this list. He was obviously dominant in college football. 4,500 total yards. He had 45 total touchdowns. He was a standout track and field athlete. 338 batting average. Then in the pros, over 3,000 total yards in just a short 4-year NFL career. On top of 18 total touchdowns there. Interesting. He was actually the number 1 overall draft pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he refused to play for them because they messed up his eligibility in baseball by making a non-NCAA approved visit to his campus. And because of that, they lied to him, telling him that it was approved, that it wasn't. And long story short, messed up his last year of eligibility in baseball. So he said that if they were the team that drafted him, he would refuse to play for them. They didn't listen to him, drafted them number 1 overall anyways. And he said, no, I'm not going to come play for you. And just sat out waiting for a chance to get a chance in major leagues. And he did, had a really impressive career, hit 141 home runs. He had 608 hits total over his career, about 250 batting average. He was an AL All-Star in 89, All-Star MVP in 93 as well. Comeback Player of the Year. He had one 30-run season for 21 seasons and 2 seasons where he had 20-plus bases stolen. So a good career overall in both the pro football and pro baseball.
Oh, yeah. And we've got about 9 or so minutes left. He's going to swing us over to our final segment of the morning, Ringside Chats. All right, man. I got a lot to talk about. There was a lot of good that happened over the weekend and a lot of bad. So we'll start with the bad. What is WWE thinking by having The Rock show up at WrestleMania or on SmackDown on Friday to pretty much tease that they're having The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Yeah, that is the most fitting sound that we could have had there for that. I don't get it. What was the point of having Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble if he...
Freaking idiot.
What's the point? If he's not going to main event WrestleMania, why did he even win the Royal Rumble? Why did they have clip? Was their most disliked clip on their YouTube channel was The Rock's return, or like 3rd or 4th return this year. But I don't know.
Keep in mind, this stuff happened after the sexual assault case on Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, and honestly, they've probably taken heat.
Unfortunately, they'd probably rather take heat on this and be wrong rather than people focusing on the case. So
it's like a PR stunt.
I think it is,
Probably.
and I think that you're
For
going to
sure.
end up watching. Everybody's been saying it, we want Cody, justice for Cody. Everybody's saying that they think they're going to turn it into The Rock being guest referee and then Cody being
that would be god awful. If they do that, I won't even watch it. Here's my prediction. I think that 10 years ago we had the yes movement with Daniel Bryan. Everybody wanted him to get the belts. It was the first unified, like he was the first double champ. I think it's going to be another surprise triple threat. They had it was John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan won it. This, I think it's going to be The Rock, Roman, and Cody in a triple threat, and I think Cody wins it. And I don't know what they're going to even do. Like at this point, I don't know why The Rock is there. It's just really stupid, taken away from other superstars' moments by just throwing in a guy that is like 60 years old. It's so stupid. But back to the good. NXT Judgment Day was literally the best pay-per-view that I've seen all year. I was going to say it was the Royal Rumble, but they kind of just screwed it on Friday on SmackDown, so I don't even count the Royal Rumble anymore. It depends on what they do with it, because they just had the Royal Rumble winner just completely get screwed.
Well, I tell you what's going to end up happening is because McMahon was connected to WWE and TKO, eventually, I think that the ratings, I think it's gonna make it go out of business because they're going to sue, with all said and done. So
yeah, kind of bad timing too, because they just merged in with the UFC to start TKO. But it was a pretty spectacular tag team tourney final. Trick Williams had 2 matches that night. He had the tag team match and the NXT championship match. So that started off with a bang. Lyra Valkyria defended her title. It was a pretty solid match there. I feel like they kind of did a weird job with the story there. I feel like Lola Vice should have pulled up with her breakout tournament contract to cash in a little bit later. But I think now we're going to have a really good feud with Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice on NXT. Oba Femi defended the North American Championship against Dragon Lee. So leads me to my opinion that I'm going to stand on this. Dragon Lee is the best like luchador style wrestler right now. He has strength. He's got the speed. He's a high flyer. He does all kinds of moves. He's not just like a luchador style wrestler, like high flyer. He power bombed an almost 400-pound dude in a title match. It was like that was a really sick false finish. And next time I do a ringside chats, I'll bring in some clips to show some of my favorite moments that I've seen there in the past week. And the final match, the main event, was absolutely fire. I tried to get the clips of the highlights in there, but it was the wrong video file format, so I couldn't get it in there. But that match was so good. I feel like Trick Williams should have won just because he's been on top of the game. Like he's the best guy at NXT right now, and he doesn't even have a title. And he's most of the time he's not really even in the conversation for the title. I feel like he's just like Carmelo Hayes' sidekick. Which I don't know. I feel like he should have won, but they're playing out the storyline great. I think that the feud with him and Carmelo Hayes should transfer over to the main roster, because I think at this point in their careers, they're ready to make that jump. I think that feud would actually be really over with the fans. I think they would like that one a lot. And I think both of them had their SmackDown debut on Friday as well. So not this weekend, but 2 weekends before on Friday, they debuted on SmackDown. So I think the jump for these guys to move up to the main roster should happen pretty soon. I think the other young talent that they're just bringing up into NXT right now has a chance to take the reins and lead NXT how it has been so far. I think the talent wise and the way that they actually write things, NXT does it much better than the actual main roster does. And I think that's just mainly because of the performers on NXT fighting for their chance to be on the main roster and be like the face of the company. I think that's why they take the cake with me. So Trick Williams, I hope he comes to NXT or comes out of NXT and makes a good reign, maybe United States champion. We'll see though. We've got this is our last 60 seconds of the show, everybody. With HG and I, we want to thank everyone for watching today. We want to thank all our viewers. We appreciate you. All our voters as well. We got one on Team Caveman so far. HG, what are your final thoughts for today? Take us out of here with a bang.
Well, one other thing I wanted to just cover before we left today was kind of crazy. Julie Watkins, women's basketball for USC.
Oh, yeah.
Dropped 51 points in her team's win over number 4 ranked Stanford. It was 67-50. So she scored 51 of her team's 67. And Mackenzie Forbes had 12, while 2 other players had 2. What a performance by Juju Watkins.
Yeah, what a game.
So pretty insane. Her split, she shot 14 of 26, 6 of 11 from 3, knocked down 17 of her 19 free throws.
Dang.
That's one of the biggest put the team on your back performances we've seen in a long time. Once again, thank you to everybody that watched the show today. Podcast will be up on Spotify just moments after the show is over. We'll have a poll up for who you want to vote for, Team Caveman, Team HG, and Team Building Exercise. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a good one.
See you next time.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about